So, hello everybody. Getting started again. I'm Sudha Jamthe, and you must have got my bio, so I'm not going to go too much into that. I wanted to give you just a couple things in my background because that's how I end up thinking, and I want you to be aware of where I'm coming from. Okay. So I teach at Stanford Continuing Studies. I teach a course. My most recent course is about artificial intelligence for product and business managers. And then I teach another course called Autonomous Vehicle Business. Previously, I taught a course about Internet of Things. I don't teach that at Stanford anymore. I teach that online on my own site called Driverless World School. Okay. And in terms of my background, I did computer science engineering many years back, which is kind of dated. And any technology that I'm using today didn't exist or was not taught in college when I was learning. But the beauty of being in technology industry is that things are always changing and you get to change it and you get to innovate. That is why I'm very excited to talk to you all, because you're the ones who are going to make that happen in different companies. You're going to go innovate in multiple places. And my whole career journey has been, I when I was an engineer, very soon I figured out that I wanted to be on the business side, and I thought that was marketing, so I wanted to study marketing. So I went and did an MBA in marketing and moved progressively to the business side. So from I stopped coding. I went to my boss one day and said, I'm not going to code, and I went and did became a product manager, and I kind of moved all the way to the business side. And it's been a constant journey to come up with new ideas and application of new technologies throughout my career. So everything I'm talking to my classes and to you today comes from that place where I have seen that resistant to change, which is very common for digital transformation in companies. To get anything done, there are multiple stakeholders who have to come together. So I've seen many rounds of technology innovation cycles. So in my last corporate job about 6 years back, I used to head mobile analytics at eBay, which was data science and business intelligence mainly for growth, responsible for $27 billion on mobile business, which is iPhone, iPad, Android, mobile web. And prior to that, I created a group called Social Analytics, which was about using social data, which is kind of a no-brainer today, but I had an uphill battle educating my management to even think about why that was important. Okay, so I started out focusing on Internet of Things. So my vision and motivation to do everything I'm doing today is, we live in very interesting times where everything is getting connected, and we are going to be in a world in the future where there is going to be a lot more digitization. Everything is connected to the internet. That means everything is going to be measured with data. So I have an obsession with data. And part of my ask is, as you're listening through this, think about the excitement of what you can do with data. And with data, we can train artificial intelligence. That's what I'm going to be talking about today. But also think about your responsibility when you're using data and creating solutions for a business. How is that data going to be used? What is the ethics of it? Because you're going to create something that is going to change the world. And you might create something that's good, but then there might be a bad side to it. That happens with technology all the time. Okay. I want to ask people you can basically tell me on chat, how many of you come from, so there's a comment, feeling good. It's a great opportunity to connect. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Roberta. Okay, so I have a question about, I just want to know people's background. How many people come from a technology background? How many consider themselves business people? So just tell me, can Yusuf or Clara tell me that? What's the mix of the class in terms of technology and business background? I'm here from business, or students can type. That's even better. Thank you. Thank you so much. I see business, technology. Hi, Sudha. Hello. I'm from academic side, not business side. That's very interesting. On the academic side, do you teach on what kind of topics do you teach? Is it a technology topic or business topic? To business, background in tech, computer science and business. That's like me. business, network engineer, business background, in big data solutions, education, more on the business side. Thank you. And then innovation side and business. So that's perfect. I think that's the beauty, and that's something that's unique about BTS, because you get to study in that setting. And when I studied engineering, everybody was learning tech, and then when I tried to go do MBA, and everybody was learning business. And in real life, you need a combination, and you have multiple point of views. And I find it very fascinating that our brain gets very wired one way or the other. So I changed from departments to departments, because when you're in finance, like when I worked in analytics was owned by finance and reporting to the CFO, and they were looking for what is the risk, how do you mitigate the risk. So they looked at innovation and growth, but more from a risk averse lens. So it's very interesting. I'm from a business background too. Yes, thank you. Okay, that's perfect. So now I want to ask the class, we are going to talk about how do you design artificial intelligence end to end using data. Okay, and I have a new book. By which I stay on top of latest in technology is I run a YouTube channel. I talk to all kinds of people, and I'm constantly trying to learn something. And so at the end of each day, I want to know something that I don't know. So for me, it's like a little past midnight. So I'm hoping that by talking to this class, you're going to teach me something that I don't know. That's my aspiration. But I try to achieve that each day. So I have a new book called AIX, and which is a word I coined uh, about design, UX design, right? It is not just UX design, but it started out thinking that it was about UX design. From my friend Charles, Dr. Charles Eckham, who made me think about how do you design using AI from a UX perspective. And then I realized, no, this is not just about the end user design on the UX side. End to end, we need to design starting from data and understanding algorithms. So that's what I'm going to talk about. So if you think about what you're going to get today, I want us to have a basic understanding of artificial intelligence. I want us to leave with the foundational thinking that designing AI is a combination of three things, which is data, algorithm, and modeling the algorithm using the data. This is the three pieces that has to come together. That's what we are going to cover. And then if time permits, we can go to the UX design or the front end design aspect. Is that good with everybody? Was your expectation for me to cover more on the front end UX design of AI? Or is that fine if I tell you about the data algorithm modeling piece mainly? You can say yes or no. Otherwise, I can totally shift and talk to you more about the AIX design side, but we will not be able to do justice to all of it together. Data algorithm modeling. Yes. Okay, perfect. Okay, so now I want the class to tell me, when we talk about, when I say artificial intelligence, give me an example of what you see as overview, data as overview. Perfect. Okay. Just cover everything. Okay. So when I say artificial intelligence, what is artificial intelligence do you use or you see yourself using? What's an example that comes to mind? Give me some examples. Gmail. So many people said Gmail. That's very interesting. Okay. Netflix. Okay. I just saw email double. There's only one person who said Gmail. Okay. Gmail, Netflix, autonomous vehicles, my favorite one. We have autonomous vehicles driving around here, and I have a hobby of chasing them, and I have a lot of videos and stuff I collect about them. I'm wondering, we're all like stuck, unable to move, go anywhere. It would be perfect, right? If the autonomous vehicle can just take us around, we are not interacting with any humans, and it can take us around and do stuff for us, right? I don't know. I was first thinking that seems like a great business model for the autonomous vehicle companies, but they're not doing it. Okay, Spotify, spam, fake news. Interesting examples that you have given. Other than the autonomous vehicle, what I'm seeing is So Netflix is one where you get movie recommendation, right? So that's a given, that we know that it's doing recommendation. Gmail, Spotify playlist is also a form of recommendation. Spam and filter, ride sharing options, spam filters. Thank you, thank you. This is a brilliant class. Thank you. So one of the common themes, if you see, autonomous vehicle is a thing, like a vehicle, and it's physically driving, right? The spam filter, the Netflix recommendation, Gmail are all algorithms, right? You're not seeing a front end to it. You don't have a UX to it. User experience, yes. The user experience is not just UI, right? So if Gmail is going to, I'll give you an example that happened with me recently with Gmail, right? For many years, search and everything Google does has become, AI. Okay. So one of the things, when you send an email, your spam gets filtered. So we all who like spam. So we don't want spam. So it's a good thing that it is checking for patterns in emails and saying, okay, this looks like a spam, don't show it to this person, put it in the spam, right? And sometimes what happens is it even will say, this looks like spam, is it? And you have to say yes or no. And we've all seen that. So it looks like filtering for spam is a good thing, right? People agree? So when I launched my AIX book, one of the things I decided to do was I wanted to give a free chapter to people. So I said, hey, sign up and I'll give you a free chapter. And then people started coming. So what I ended up doing was I didn't want to put them on a MailChimp or some kind of mailing list and all that, right? Is the book on Amazon? Yes, it is on Amazon. This is what it looks like. It's called AIX. So what I ended up doing is I wanted to send personal email to people, because these were the first set of people, because I love data. So I'm very big on people giving me feedback. And so I wanted people to tell me, especially the initial set of people who are interested in my book. I didn't want them to just buy the book. I want them to taste it and see if that was what was interesting for them. So anybody in the class, if you're interested, if you follow up, I'm actually happy to give you that free chapter that I was giving others. So coming back to AI, I ended up giving the free chapter by emailing people. And it turned out a lot of people signed up. So usually when you email, you say, email, maybe in CC, you'll put a bunch of people. Even if you're doing team projects, maybe 5 people, 10 people, right? So I wanted to be respectful of the privacy of the people. So I emailed myself and put 50 emails or some big number like that, not more than that, on BCC, tried to email them. The spam filter obviously woke up and said, this is not her normal behavior. This is an anomaly to her usual email behavior. This looks like a spammer. And so if they did not send the email to the receiving end as a spam, that's good for them, right? When we are on the receiving end. But now when it is sending that and it is not giving me that information, what happens? I don't know if they got it. Nobody is replying back. And then I'm kind of living not delivering on my promise, right? Because I told people that I will email and they think that I just ditched them. So I gave this as an example because I'm trying to see who said that. I see a name. I'm sorry, I need the glasses. Osama Zain said, when we were talking about example of AI, the thing was about user experience. So user experience is not that fancy voice assistants or augmented reality or something else. It is just the experience. So there is a lot of AI out there which is very powerful, like the recommendation engines and spam filtering and the like. They don't have a UX per se, right? They don't have a UI per se, but they create a certain experience. So I think it's important. I wanted to make that point, that it is important to think of the overall user experience. Finally, it goes back to the basics, that you see what problem you're solving for the customer, what is their persona, what is going to be their user journey. So you'd go through the regular design process, but you think about, is AI going to add value or not? Then you don't do it. If it's not going to add value. If it's going to add value, how much do you need to communicate? So for me, the fascination with data is everybody knows about AI as you give training data, the AI is trained, it creates some piece of software, it's called inference model. And then from there, it is going to run and decide whether the autonomous vehicle is going to move or stop. It is going to decide whether that Netflix is going to give me that movie or some other movie. Whether Gmail is going to say this is a spam, it's going to stop it or not. So all of those comes back to the same concept of getting training data to feed the algorithm and create the piece of software that is going to make a decision, right? But when the AI is communicating with us, the only language it knows is data. And so if it is telling me something, if it is not communicating, it is still learning from that experience. So if you're a UX person, especially, I want you to think about the data that you're receiving from the AI. You're going to take it as feedback for customer behavior, but it is also going to be the communication of the AI, whether the AI is going to say, this person didn't like it, so I need to change to something else. So so for example, in a Netflix recommendation, if it expects you to click, if you didn't click, that's a form of communication. So I have Alexa here. I just want to show you. So what should we ask her? So the other day I was asking Alexa, I have a big one. So the other day I'm asking Alexa something she usually doesn't understand, or sometimes she doesn't understand my accent. Sometimes she makes the wrong interpretation. That is all part of the experience. So recently she said that I got a book, and she said, do you want to give feedback for the book? I didn't want her to kind of be intrusive and say, go give an Amazon review for the book. And so I didn't reply back. And she said, is that yes? Is that no? And that was an experience they created. I actually felt it was very pushy. So I just wanted to mention that on the UX side, since somebody mentioned UX, and then I want to go back to my data talk. Could everybody send chat to all panelists and so everyone can see your comments? Okay, that's for everybody else. Okay, so thank you for all your suggestions of what is AI. So since this class is about digital transformation and you're interested in business, so many of you, I want to actually show you two numbers, right? Okay. So AI means many things to many customers. I wanted to make the point that AI can be an algorithm, it's invisible. So I have a voice assistant called Amy who does scheduling of my calendar. And I usually show this to say which one is Amy, but I'm going to skip that because many of you have already figured out that the algorithm can be invisible because none of this is Amy, she's an algorithm. Okay, so for the purpose of us, focusing on the business, again, I want you to understand one big concept. When you're thinking, I want to work in AI, and how big is the AI market? What am I working on as AI industry? I want to show you two numbers. How big is AI market? Is AI market $100+ trillion market? It's US dollars, trillions, or is it a $14 trillion market in another 5 years? Any guesses? You can type in the chat. I'll come back check. 100 trillion plus market, or a $14 trillion. 14 trillion itself is even a decent number. But I want to know what your guesses are. 14 trillion, 100 trillion. Okay, anybody else? I need to break the ice. 100 trillion. There's more for 100 trillion. I think it's the same person giving that. Okay, no, different person. Okay, 100. Okay, lot of people are saying 100 trillion, and at least one person said 14. And you know what is the right answer? Both of you are correct, because it depends on how you define the AI market. Why am I talking about the size of this market when I'm promised to tell you about the data algorithm modeling? Because there are a whole bunch of companies like Google, IBM, Apple, Amazon, and many, many, many startups who are all trying to create AI as a piece of software or a platform. So it's an API that you can call and it will do facial recognition for you, or it will do anomaly detection for you. So they're trying to take training data of images, of whatever data is needed, and train an algorithm to give you an algorithm, so that all you have to do is say, hey, I want to do this. Why don't I just get this from Google or somebody? And that is the big one where you will see a lot of technologists working, and there is a race across countries to see who is going to win the AI race, and you're going to build on their platform. And that software market for AI is $100 trillion market. The other market is when you think of companies like the automakers or manufacturers, oil and gas company, all kinds of industries. They are going to apply AI and change something, right? They're going to either improve their processes, or they are going to reduce costs, or they're going to create some new products altogether and go into a different market. So there are three different ways they can do: either cost saving, or increasing revenue by improving some processes, or they are going to go create something new and go into a new market. That is going to be $14 trillion by 2025. So if you think about it, there are a lot more businesses with a lot of data. Somebody said 30. So there's a lot more businesses with a lot of data. So shouldn't that number be bigger than the 100 million, 100 trillion? Instead of selling because they're going to sell software to one of these companies, and these companies are going to create efficiencies. So why do you think the number, and we're looking only at a 5-year horizon, we are not looking in 10 years or 20 years. Why is that number smaller in 5 years? And this is I'll give you a clue. This is very, very specifically relevant to BTS and what you're learning here. Why is the efficiency that will be created, the cost saving that will be created, any application of AI in any of the industries, anywhere in the world, why is that 14 trillion, while just the algorithm to run that as a piece of software is almost 10 times that number? And by the way, there's no answer that's a wrong answer. So tell me what you're thinking. Okay, I'm going to give you the answer. So if you think about it, oh, somebody's got, so you were typing a big long sentence, that's why you're taking time. Because it's pieces of the algorithm, so that's why it's a smaller number. It is possible. So if you're thinking, say, oil and gas, let's take a manufacturing company. They're making tires, and they're saying, hey, is there fault in our tire that we do using a normal process to pick the faulty tires out of, and we have a process. Now let's automate that using AI. So they use computer vision, put cameras, and they are looking at the tires to see where the faults are. And as soon as it spots, they will say, okay, this, and we'll remove that tire from production, and we'll continue on with the production line, and say they're improving that. So they need computer vision algorithm, and say Intel gives it or IBM gives it. So it's going to be the same. The algorithm that they are going to use is not going to be less number of pieces of it. So that cannot be the only thing. There's something else. So what is it that the customers in the industry have? All the different factories, the mining companies, the dams, manufacturing companies, automotive companies, that all of them have, that the technology companies don't have. If you are this tire company and you want to improve your process, you want to create an algorithm, you might say, I don't know to create algorithms. I don't have the technologists in-house who can create algorithms. I need to buy this piece of software. So there might be a limitation of enough people like you who know how to do this, understand the business and our technologies, right? they don't have enough of them. Okay, but say they hire you, one of you, and say, we want to improve our revenues. And one way we know we can do this is remove defects faster, because the defective tire actually, turns off customers and we lose revenues. And they say that. So you could go and buy an algorithm off the shelf from somebody. Then can it just run? Can you just, like a piece of, like you get Microsoft Teams or PowerPoint? Can you just, can you just buy a piece of software, and even like an Oracle installation, can you just buy it off the shelf and get it running? You have to make it work for your company. The reason all of you and your jobs, wherever you go, you're going to innovate is going to matter, is because you're going to understand the business, and you're going to say, what is your current production process? What is the inefficiency in it? So if AI, I don't remember whose quote it is, it's not my quote, I don't want to take false claim for it. But if AI is going to automate processes, if it is going to take an inefficient process and it's going to automate it, it is going to multiply the inefficiencies. This is the quote from somebody. I'll look it up who it is, and then send a message back to Clara, or to the class if you're going to connect with me. So if it is going to just automate processes, if it is an inefficient process, it is just going to multiply the inefficiencies. If it is going to take an efficient process and it's going to automate it, it's going to obviously create more efficiencies. So we need people like you who are going to say what is going on. And how are you going to find out? When you go to any company, you go to work and say, okay, oh, you're making tires. Say you're here in Barcelona, right? So say you go work for Seat and say, what is your process of how you're manufacturing tires for the cars? And let's create efficiencies in there, and we can do anomaly detection. And you can get anomaly detection algorithm off the shelf from some company. Say Anadot is a famous startup which does anomaly detection. Amazon and so many others also have anomaly detection. So you can do that. Now, what asset the company has is data. They have production data. They have their customer data. You can actually find out per minute, per day, how many tires do they produce? Per quarter, how many do they produce? You can go and look at their inventory. How much tires do they have in inventory? What is the rate at which the tires are sold to customers and it's moving out? From a sales perspective, how much is it produced? From a production perspective, what percentage of defects does it have? All that is sitting in the data. So you cannot buy something off the shelf from Anadot or AWS or anybody else and hit the ground running and fix their production and inefficiency, defective tires problem. You need to apply that in a way that works for the company. And then the digital transformation challenge is that you have to get buy-in, they have to believe you, you have to go to make the change in process. That's a separate thing. You must be learning about that. But just applying that AI, getting the algorithm. So the reason why the 14 trillion is smaller in the 5 years is because a lot of companies are creating vanilla off the shelf. Hey, this is for computer vision and detection of some anomaly, and they're creating algorithms. And something for voice recognition, they're creating algorithms. So looking for natural language processing and saying, okay, she's talking, what does this mean? And this, just today I was reading that there is a research with machine learning that they've done, that you can look at sound spoken, and they've mapped it to the brain waves. And from the brain waves, they can actually recreate what the words were. So you train it with some sentences first. It understands how your brain pattern works, takes that digitized data, trains an algorithm, and then it says, okay, now I can say what she's thinking of wanting to say before she says. So it would help people who have speech impairment or something. But if you think about it, that company is just using training data with some talk, and then it's spitting out an algorithm. And now it's a piece of software. We are going to have many, 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 many such software. That is the $100 trillion market. And that's beginning. It's already here with spam filters and the examples that you gave. So it's going to happen. But the market of where you will go and help which digital transformation of companies is waiting for you to come. There are not enough people like you on the business side who understand technology and business and can do the digital transformation, have the love for innovation and all the other skills that you're learning to make that happen. That is a slow process. When that picks up, it's going to be in across all industries everywhere, and that market is going to be a higher number, much bigger than the 100 trillion, but not within the next 5 years, because there's going to be a slower process of adopting. You would say, going back to the anomaly detection example, you'll say, okay, we can do this. Instead of tires, let me give you another example, sticking with anomaly detection. We have a pizza company called Domino's Pizza. They are using anomaly detection. Okay, quiz for you. If you work for a pizza company, they give you free pizza, maybe you like to work for them, and you are the technology innovation czar for the company, and they say, hey, can we use AI? What would you do for them? How would you apply AI for them? And they have data about their how much pizzas are produced in various different franchises. They have how many pizzas are produced, how much is in demand, how fast it's produced and shipped out. It did do delivery, a lot of delivery, and so that, and then there must be defects and people scream and they're upset and they have customer support and refunds. So that you have all the data is given to you, and you walk into the job and you say, I think we could use AI. Any guesses? What would you do? What would you try to do? Because the whole idea, remember, what AI can do is it can reduce some inefficiencies, and can either reduce their cost or improve their revenues or create some new product. So what would you do for Domino's Pizza with AI? I'm waiting. I'm wearing my glasses because I'm waiting for people's answers to come in fast. Do you think a pizza company should use AI in the first place? Do you think it's kind of crazy? You could say that too. That's okay. Optimize delivery process. Menu optimization. Sashkia, is that how you pronounce your name? Sashkia. Yes, that's a very good idea. You could do the delivery process. So one is the delivery process optimization is one, right? Because today when we are sitting and you get food delivery, I get a lot of my grocery delivered. That's a whole logistics problem. Logistics is one where AI is used a lot, and the data is what drives that, right? Create a choice pizza. Actually, we have a company here which claims that it is a robot pizza. It's like a truck, and inside the truck is the ovens, and they're all automated with arms, and so it just makes the pizza while it is driving, while it is as a driver who drives. It's not autonomous, but inside the pizza is made, the combination, everything is automated. So that's like what you're saying. Lenin says computer vision classification. Yes. Food waste reduction. Have the perfect number of ingredients needed. That's also managing the supply. So yeah. So what they could be doing all of this, but what I know about them is what Lenin was saying is computer vision. What they do is they put cameras in front of as the pizza is being produced, and they look for patterns, and they look for where there's any defect, and they catch the defect right when it happens, and then they try to see this kind of defect should not happen in other places, and they kind of share the learning with other companies, so they make their customers happy. It's similar to the tire idea, but they're looking at pizza. Waste reduction is also a very good one. Okay. Do you maybe know the companies which business model is completely based on the AI and not on some process? Very, very good. Good suggestion. Good question. Let me think about it. I'll get back to you just a minute. Okay. So what steps can one take to position themselves when in a career in the business side of AI? What can one do to stand out? Beautiful question. Okay, so I need to think about the business model. There are the typical business model in AI is based on process improvement. And the other thing you could do is you could reach a whole new market. So one of the examples of a company that is trying to use AI everywhere is Amazon. Amazon uses that in delivery, logistics, and all that stuff. But then trying to get into voice assistant and bringing Amazon Alexa here as a new product. Okay, Alexa is going to start talking. Okay, so as a new product, and then what they're doing is they're bringing it into the car, and so you have the Amazon Alexa Auto is voice interface in the car, and
I don't know that one.
Alexa stop. So that is brought into the car. So they've created a whole new line of business with voice as an interface. But one of the things they are very, very, and specifically Amazon is very strategic about is they are very clear. Their core strategy is commerce. So though they created voice assistant, they are using that. It looks like they created a new market. They're selling all these devices, but they've integrated all that to say, why are we doing this? We want people to shop more. We want them to shop only from Amazon. So by giving voice and bringing it into the car, they're still bringing commerce into the car. So the short answer for your question is, if there are companies who are creating new products, which are very AI driven products, that is one way of going out of the process realm. But for that to be successful, especially for an existing business, not a new startup, they have to be very clear on what is their strategy, why are they doing it. So it should not be just we were running an e-commerce site, now we are a shop selling a piece of hardware that talks to people. That's not cool. That's not a scalable business. Okay, what steps can one take to position themselves in the business side? Okay, I'm going to answer that question, but I want to go back and show you one thing about this triangle of data stuff, data model thing that I was saying, and come back, okay? And hold me accountable, because that is the last piece I want to give you guys on how you can actually, move into AI right away, okay, while you're studying and stuff. Okay, let me go back. Okay, so here we branched out to multiple trillion, this thing. This is a snapshot of various different businesses out there in artificial intelligence space. So this should give you an idea. So in terms of, where you could position yourself, I am a believer that you have to be passionate about any area. So it's possible that you come from a certain industry background and then you want to go to that industry and help them bring AI. But you could also get passionate about, machine learning or speech recognition or computer vision or recommendation engines. And then you can say, okay, then I want to become a specialist in that. And then you could go there. That's only a partial answer I've given you. Okay. But who's responsible for AI in a company? So this is a research that was done by a company, I believe it is from Figure 8, who said, who is ultimately responsible for AI? If you see this, they basically said the CEO is responsible. This is the pink part here. And then the chief technology officer, somebody said, or there are these manager level people level people. If you see, it's all over the place. And the beauty is they did this to technical people and business people. And you see about 16% of them said, I am responsible. If AI is so strategic, it's going to change their business and move them into the future. They were talking to technical people and they said, I'm responsible. They talked to business people and they said, line of the head, business head, and they said, I'm responsible. So the thing is, if you want to pivot into AI, the good news is you can be the CEO, you can be the CMO, you can be this technical person, you can be a manager level person, you can be a director level. It's equally spread out, only HR, they said, okay, less than 1% that it is HR. But the beauty is, even in HR, there are companies which are using AI to filter resumes. When you apply online directly, you'll likely be talking to a bot. So it's not that HR is not applying AI, but they're more like a user of AI. Okay, so whatever your background, I believe you can go do AI in any company, and then you could get passionate about any aspect of AI, or you can say, I came from a certain industry, that's where I'm going to go. I came from finance and I'm going to help finance industry figure out how to do this, or I came from manufacturing, I'm going back to manufacturing. You could do any of those. Okay, but I'm going to give you some practical tip when I close out shortly. Okay, this is where I want to go back to when I said, the three things, right? The algorithm, data, and models. Okay, so quiz again. What is the difference between an algorithm and a model? Is it different, or first of all, is it different or is it the same? An AI algorithm and a model. We say computer vision model, facial recognition model, or facial recognition algorithm. I've seen the word used interchangeably. What is difference? They're different. Okay, different. Okay. Okay, so what is different? Okay, a lot of people, everybody says it's different. So what is the difference? What is the difference between a model? What's a model? You don't need to know the answer. I'm telling you here. So, if you say it's great, doesn't matter. You don't need to feel like you didn't know it. Any takers? What would you call as a model? Remember, I was telling you when what asset the company has is the data, right? So if Netflix is running a recommendation engine, then it is actually taking all its data. Let's take Amazon trying to give anomaly detection model. They are going to train the model with some data, which is not the customer data, which is not the customer who's going to look at it, looking at the tire company could be using Amazon to pick up the defective tire. The pizza company could be looking at the pizza to figure out the defective piece, quality compliance issues. They could be the same anomaly detection model used by different companies, right? So the technology company is going to use data and create an algorithm. Okay, algorithm is something that use data, and model is a pattern from algorithm. Based on inputs and outputs with training data, model is created. Model is a result of an algorithm. Okay, so yes, so that's very poetic. The model is the backbone and the model is the body. The algorithm is the backbone, the model is the body. So I love the answers. You're such a smart bunch of students. I'm so happy to be talking to you. So yes, so when Amazon or a startup, Anodot, or IBM, or any tech company which is trying to, Baidu, any tech company is trying to create a algorithm. They call it model too, but if I ask a technology person, I've had this, they said, no, they're not, it's not different. We just use the word model and algorithm the same way. But if you talk to a business person who controls the $14 trillion or the budget to buy the $100 trillion algorithms, they basically, algorithm is what they get off the shelf. And they buy it from some tech company, right? And then they apply their data. The tire company would say, here is the data that we have. Now I want this to work to pick defective tires. The pizza company will say, here's my data, and I want it to pick the model. And somebody gave this example for the pizza company, saying that they could be optimizing on menu. So I have a case study in my book about McDonald's, and what they're doing is they have in US they've done that in I think in 300 locations, if I'm not wrong about the number, but they have it in many locations, where when you come in through drive-through, it takes a lot of time. but they don't want to shove you through drive through, because that is part of the experience. They want to give you the right menu where you will order quickly. So they want to personalize your menu. So what they ended up doing is they are using an algorithm, but then they are not just buying an algorithm off the shelf and say, okay, now make a recommendation, right? Netflix had to run the model on their data for a long time till they arrived at how can they make a movie recommendation. It might be the same similar underlying algorithm for Spotify, but they cannot just use that and start running with it. They have to apply it to music for their situation, and then they have to run with it. So there could be two competing companies, two car companies who are producing, manufacturing car tires. Their model in the end is going to be very different because they're feeding their own data. Okay, so that is the big difference, and that is where the jobs are. So the business person's job is in understanding the business and doing this right. And again, today I'm seeing that there are many jobs that are becoming AI product managers job, AI business development jobs. There are a lot of AI, like we saw in that circle before, AI is being done by everybody. So there are a lot of AI jobs, but the most juicy AI job, which is in demand, where you can all move in, is this: either you're a product manager or a business manager who understands algorithms, who has the ability to look at the data of the company and can help create the model. You don't need to create the model. You could have a data science person in the company who will create the model. So I'm going to skip this because everybody here knows that machine learning is about, feeding training data and looking for a pattern. And this is how the algorithm is made. Okay. So what I want to show is this: somebody already said this poetic thing, right? About what is the algorithm and what is the model. So the algorithm is the brain of the AI, right? And if you ask a technologist, somebody mentioned in the comments about classification, there are if you ask a technologist or you try to read a book about what are the different things that AI does, they will say it does classification, it does clustering, it does recommendation. They will try to do the based on what kind of algorithms they are. From a business perspective, in my research, I've sifted through all kinds of possible algorithms in all kinds of business and situations. Fundamentally, all AI algorithms does one of these four things. We've been talking about Netflix and Spotify. That's number two. That's the prediction, right? What is it doing? It is sifting through the data, forming patterns and organizing it. And from there, it says, okay, I'm going to make a TV recommendation. Is this person going to like this or not? I think there's a high propensity they're going to like this. Let me recommend this movie to them, right? They are making a recommendation of purchases, music, anything. They are going to make a prediction and say, I think this is, like in this unfortunate times that we are facing this whole pandemic, the whole testing that is being done with COVID-19 is all predictions. They're saying, hey, this blood sample is this, can I say with high degree of confidence that this is this person is testing positive or negative? And that is the prediction. And the prediction could be, in any kind of other situations also. And then the other thing is grouping and say, I can see a pattern in this set of customers versus this set of customers. Let's group them. And you want to send a coupon and offer a discount for somebody. This group will accept this, right? They're kind of making a prediction, but they're grouping customers. So based on common behavior, the simple thing manually we could say men, women, or this age group and all that, but they could say based on all the things they bought, this group is likely to react to something, right? So they group people. So that grouping based on patterns is one. Making some kind of prediction is another. The common prediction that is in application is machine parts. It's an airline parts, is it going to fail? Before it fails, they would actually make a prediction. And so it drives predictive maintenance. And then I've beaten anomaly to death, anomaly detection, because I've said so much about it. Anomaly detection is organizing into pattern to see what is different and say, hey, that looks different. This customer always withdraws money in maybe hundreds or 200s, and now suddenly Looks like they are withdrawing $2,000. Looks like an anomaly. Maybe their credit card is lost, and finance companies are looking for anomalies. And the example I said with the tire and pizza are all the same thing. And somebody mentioned classification. So classification is just organizing, right? Looking for patterns and organizing. And ImageNet is a common data set for that. And then identifying the objects within that is what computer vision is actually doing. And I've spoken about anomaly detection, looking for a pattern and say, that's an outlier. Let's pick that data, right? So in reality, industry is not just going to work with one AI. It is going to have a combination of voice, computer vision, augmented reality, whole bunch of different things. So coming back to your question of how you can move into that space, I'm going to skip a bunch of these because I have a lot of others. So what makes AI alive is the data. We spoke about that. I have that in various places. I have data on that. And before I wrap up, I want to show you about the 4 V's of data. So we spoke about how there are 2 different AI markets, the software market and the application market. So based on your background, if you come from a technology background and you can learn algorithms and build it, then you go to, and you want to go and you worked in technology industry, if that's your skill set, then you can go to the technology industry, right? Where that's the $100 trillion. I see a comment. Can you please share the presentation as well? Thank you. Yes, I will. Yeah. Okay. So I spoke about what is AI, and you all had brilliant ideas. And the key lesson there was AI can be invisible, but the experience you create for the customers is important. And so we spoke about the customer experience, right? The user experience. The second thing is the size of the market, whether it's 100 trillion, if it's a software, the AI is built as a platform, or it can be a application. So that's the 14 trillion, which will be in any possible industry. So if you are you want to be a product manager who is going to build AI as a piece of software, and you have that experience base, or that's what you're gravitating towards, that's one direction you can go. If that's the direction you want to go, then you need to build a certain set of skills to be a product manager in AI, because that's a hot job. In fact, there are not enough AI product managers officially available outside. So most of the engineers are trying to become product managers because they understand the algorithm, they understand the customer a little bit, and they kind of gravitate. Like I moved away from being a software engineer away to the business side. There are many people who are kind of gravitating towards that. And then there are people who are product managers that present the customer interest to spec out what the product should be, like what should be built in a technology platform. So they say, hey, I understand the customer, we can solve this problem for the customer, and let's go build AI. And so they come from, all the existing product managers are also in this journey to become AI product managers. And the beauty is they are in the middle of how do you provide training data to build the algorithm and to work with the engineers. So working with the engineers, being able to communicate with the engineers, and then having a depth of this different algorithms, what it means. You don't need to be coding. You don't need to be the Python person to do that, but have that deeper knowledge. If you're comfortable with technology to that extent, that's a hot job, and you can do amazing things. If you are a person who understands a specific industry and you have the business acumen for that industry, again, you should be excited about some particular AI is my take. You don't have to, but that would help, because then you go deeper into it. Because you cannot, if you're a business person and you're not coding, you don't hands-on know this, you cannot understand being a voice assistant and being a computer vision person all at the same time. So the deeper you go into that, then you can go to that. So I don't know if Dr. Charles Icahn is here. Charles Icahn is here. Charles and I teach a course online called AIX, which is about the UX side of computer vision, augmented reality, voice or machine learning, how to create the user experience part of it. I mean, I have all the stuff in the book, but there's an online class for that. And I'm sure Charles would be happy to come talk to you guys if that's the topic that you want to learn more. So that is one direction you could go. If you're a UX oriented person, you could go there. No, finally, if you want to work with the industry, bring your business acumen, then you need to understand the value of data. You need to, and bulk of the job there is not it's not like you're creating a new algorithm and model. You will eventually create an algorithm and model, but your whole goal is to solve for a business problem using AI as a tool. And to do that, you need to have an intricate understanding of data. So if you can play with data and sift through data, and you get excited about it, and you have business acumen of any industry, then that would be the place to go. So if you're new to all this, you need to have a understanding of the different kind of algorithms, like I was saying, how it does, grouping, it does anomaly detection, and it does prediction, it does recommendation. So that much you need to have. And in my AIX books, I do that, and I promise to give you a chapter if that's something you want to go into. But think about it, what excites you, and maybe you want to play with it. Maybe you want to do some internships with it, or and another promise I would make, I love BTS. I hope I will get to meet you all very soon. One of the things I would promise is, if you want to follow up with me, I'm happy to give you resources. And I know there's 28 people on the line, but please, if you're connecting with me on LinkedIn, send a message saying, I'm a BTS student, and, so there's context for me, instead of just sending me a LinkedIn connect, and you'll just be lost, right? Because I would know that's the same person. You'll be able to watch this whole thing on our YouTube channel. Yes. Okay. So the last part, I just want to go to show the 4 V's of data that I started out before I wrap up. So to understand data, when you're not dealing with data looks like a amorphous word. Data could be numbers, data could be images, data could be sound, and all kinds of patterns, right? The important thing is volume of data. How much data do you have? Do you have variety of data? Do you have a combination of sound data and image data and all that, like variety of data? And is there like real-time movement of data? Is this like static data, historic data sitting somewhere over time, or is that a real-time data that you're at, like the pizza looking for patterns is happening in real time, right? That you get data about that, about the pizza, what the toppings are, what the temperature setting is, and any section looking black, and is it charred and burnt, and things like that. All that is coming in real time. So that's the velocity of the data. The veracity of the data is the most important thing. Veracity is basically, is the data clean? Is it trustworthy? So bulk of the time that is being spent by people who work in AI, be it the technology people or the business people, is to make sure that the data has veracity, which means I can trust the data and it is authentic data. And so I think I want to pause here, and I want to ask you if you have any specific question. Otherwise, I'm going to show you one option where you can learn more, because as I said, I work with IoT, and that's where I came from there towards data to AI. So April 9th, this Thursday, is World IoT Day. I've given the details to Clara. I will send it back to her, to Clara. I am going to show this also. So what I've done is, I have, and I'll give you the URL of this, I think I have a bit.ly called IoT Day Camps, one word, IoT Day Camp. I think it's IoT Day Camp or IoT Day Camps. You'll have to check. It's a bit.ly file, and I will be sure to send that to Clara. So what I've done is, I'm partnered with one more colleague of mine, and this is a pet project I do once a year for April 9th. And I bring a bunch of experts in IoT space to come together to teach something, to share their experience. And instead of doing this as a just interview, I've basically made it into 2 camps. This is the schedule. And this is my morning at 9 o'clock, which is your evening. And the other one is my evening, which is going to be super crazy time for you. So I have 2 sessions, each 20 minutes, done by different people who are experts, who are going to be teaching various things. And if you sign up, you will be able to join live. Obviously, I want it to be safe, so I'm going to give the Zoom link only to people who sign up and validate that's the right person. So I don't have just kind of strangers in there. But it's open and free. So, and I will be updating this to show more details of who these speakers are, what is their background, specifics of the topic. So, this is about building the IoT, building digital twins, connected devices, the AI, how do you create a technical architecture for AI, ethics with AI, digital transformation with AI, a whole bunch of things. What does it mean to be a data product manager with AI? And I have a lot more. I'm kind of still organizing it because I want to do 2 2-hour bands. And I will also be streaming a bunch of these on YouTube. In YouTube, you can just watch it passively. But in this is like this class, you will be able to ask questions on chat and get answers from all of these world experts. And then if you're not able to watch it live, you can come back and do a playback, and you will have access to watch that. So that is bit.ly/IoT Day Camps. And that's on Driverless World School. Okay, so you're all welcome to join and learn from that exercise, and follow up with me, connect with me, and I hope I'm able to help you more. Obviously, this whole concept of how do you exactly take the data and build a model, to apply an algorithm is not a secret sauce. There is no one magical algorithm you can map to a specific business problem. But this is what I could tell you in 1 hour, but I'm happy to follow up and give you more pointers if that's the career pivot you want to make, or answer any questions that we didn't cover so much. Okay, so thank you, everybody. Thanks a lot. I'm glad you found it useful. Suggest a book for a really new learner into digital transformation. Specifically for AIX, my AIX book is focused on AI. I have to think about digital transformation. And I will get back to Clara. And let me see who that is. Who's suggest. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, guys. This was fun. Pong Punot. Is that how you pronounce your name? How do you say your name? Please follow up. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Yusuf, for having me. You have such an amazing bunch of students. And thank you, Mo. I'm glad you were able to join. Okay, so definitely connect with me on LinkedIn, and come to Driverless World School, and you'll find the IoT Day camps, and sign up and join if you can, any of them in person. And in the next couple days, I will be able to organize that better and tell you exactly, so you can make an informed decision on which sessions you want to attend, which you want to stay up for. It makes best use of your time. Okay, with that, I'm going to wrap up. Is that good? And if you have this question that you have to, as you process, and I promise that I will give you a free chapter, right? So I will give a URL for that also. Am I able to type here? I can type too, guys. That's awesome. Okay, so if you go to iotdisruptions.com/AIX, I think, you should be able to request a free copy. And anywhere I collect your email, I'm not going to spam you. That's not what I'm here for. Okay, so I will give you a free chapter of the book and reply back, and you can ask me any questions and follow-ups, and I will find time. I will always find time for BTS students, and any number of questions, any number of time you can come. And I promise you, specifically if you're thinking of pivoting your career, looking for resources for books and stuff. So the digital transformation book, I've not answered that question. I will find that. I think I answered everything else that came around, but if I missed something, please remind me. And I will do a follow-up and give you resources and answer any questions, okay? So with that, I'm going to wrap up. Is that fine? And I'm so wired now. It's like, past 1 o'clock for me, and I'm just like completely booted up. I think I should do a session and talk to the class, more often. So with that, I'm going to wrap up. Thank you, everybody. Definitely connect with me, and I really promise to find time and help you, whatever your follow-ups are. And I hope, I'll be there to cheer for you on your AI journey. So with that, I'm going to wrap up. Definitely connect. And is that all good, Clara, yourself? Can I go and sleep? I'm too wired to sleep now. And please stay safe. And I hope to meet you all soon. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Okay, awesome. Okay, I'm going to sign out. Bye, everybody. Thank you.